Okay, first and foremost, Hodul Hashem Ki Tov Kilam Chasto. It's not for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we wouldn't have all these wonderful blessings that we have today. That's first and foremost. Second, I would like to first welcome Rabbi Billet, all the way, my Rav from Young Israel Woodmere, to be with us today. It's very gracious of him to join us. And also, I think Rabbi Daniel Hershkowitz, he has already left, but one of the ministers of parliament was here. Yeah, can I go now, Danny? Okay. I read an interesting statistic recently. It said that 70% of people are afraid of dying, and 90% of people are afraid of public speaking. So in that case, there's more people that would rather die than speak in public. So I guess I'm in that boat. But at least for personal reasons. On other reasons, I can do it. Okay, so in looking for Devar Torah in this week's Sedra, I had the opposite problem that you usually face when you look for Devar Torah. When you look for Devar Torah in a normal parsha, you have to figure out how to tie in the day to Tzara'at, or to the Mishkan Kalim, or to some other esoteric item. Here in Ves Chanan, we have really a plethora of items to talk about. The Aseret Dibro, the Shema, Pasuk from Aleinu, Zos HaTorah, and many more items to talk about. I'm going to speak today about the time of year that we have. We have the 3 weeks that were just, and then Shabbos, and then Tisha B'Av, and of course we're coming into Shabbat Nachamu. And just as an aside, it kind of ties in with the Devar Torah here. Is we had it was an opportunity really to hear Eicha read while we were watching Har HaBayit from Har Tzofim, and it was really very meaningful to hear the words of Eicha and see Yerushalayim and really to have to daven for Yerushalayim Habnuyah. So that was very moving, arranged by Rabbi Billet. Thank you. And as we all know, this coming Shabbat is called Shabbat Nachamu. It's the culmination of the period of mourning for the 3 weeks, culminating in Tisha B'Av. And the Haftorah's name comes from the Haftorah, which Andrew will read this Shabbat, from Yeshayahu. Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Yomar Lokechem. You shall be comforted, my nation, says your God. As a consequence of these uplifting words, as well as our collective relief for the conclusion of the 3 weeks of mourning leading up to Tisha B'Av, this Shabbos has always been one of consummate joy. But how can the prophet Yeshayahu command Jews in every generation to be comforted, to feel optimistic? Especially in times like we have today, where there is terror attacks, there's financial upheavals, there's riots, both here in Tel Aviv, 300,000 people, and all in the United Kingdom and America. These are very stressful times. How can the prophet command you to not worry, be happy? It's a very interesting type of thought. The Torah can obviously prescribe certain things that you shouldn't do or you should do, like in the 3 weeks of not shaving, and then coming up to Tisha B'Av, where all the halachos of a som, what you can't do. But how can the Torah command moods and attitudes? Another question that arises from Tisha B'Av and this time of year is from the words of Zechariah. Zechariah, about the anniversary about Tisha B'Av, he describes it that eventually he says, Ko amar Hashem tzvaos, Som ha-revi'i, v'som ha-chamishi, v'som ha-shvi'i, v'som ha-asiri, yeh lebeit Yehuda, l'sasun l'simcha, u'lemodim tovim, v'ha'emet, v'ha'shalom ohevu. Thus says Hashem, the fast of the 4th month, the fast of the 5th month, which is Av, Tisha B'Av, the fast of the 7th month, and the fast of the 10th month shall be for the house of Judah days of rejoicing, happiness, and festivals. However, only when you can learn to love truth and peace. But how can Tisha B'Av become a festival? Our festivals are marked by unique and even miraculous and always joyous occasions, which occurred on specific days that the Torah wanted us to eternalize. The sanctity of the day is formed by the divine miracles which Hashem has wrought for our ancestors, in those days, but at this time. How can and why should we eternalize the day of the most horrific destruction for our people? What can possibly justify for endowing such a day with the inherent sanctity of a Jewish festival like Sukkot and Pesach and Purim and Hanukkah? I saw an answer to these questions given by Rabbi Riskin from Efrat. He answers both questions as follows. A careful study of the Torah reading for Tisha B'Av, a passage taken from this week's Parsha of V'etchanan, Moshe is presenting a farewell address to Bnei Israel before he is passing and before Bnei Israel enter Eretz Yisrael. His words include a remarkable prophecy of the future of the history of the nation, as well as an unadulterated statement of faith in the invincibility and eternity of Bnei Israel. Yes, admits Moshe, after several generations in the Promised Land, you will act evilly in the eyes of Hashem, and your punishment will be exile. V'chafetz Hashem etchem ba'amim v'nishartem mitei mispar b'goyim asher yinhag Hashem etchem shama. And the next passage continues, Va'avadetem sham elokim masei yedei adam eitz va'evin v'lo yirun v'lo yishmon v'lo yecholon v'lo yerichon. Hashem will scatter you among the nations. You will be a minority nation scattered from pillar to post, wandering amongst larger entities of rapacious and idolaters and at worst more immoral Gentiles at best. Your nation will assimilate into the majority culture and descend into idolatry and impurity. From every logical and historical and sociological perspective, Bnei Israel should have ceased to exist as an ethnic entity, if not after the first exile of 50 years in Babylon, then at least after a few hundred years of the second exile, which is now approaching 2,000 years. Us Jews as a people have been scattered all over the world. Even today, we're still scattered all over the world. But Moshe also foretold that Bnei Israel would never disappear as a nation with a unique mission. Despite the improbability of such endurance and continued existence in defiance of all world history, indeed the very Torah, which foretells of the Galut and persecution of the chosen people, who all too often pervert or simply disregard his birthright, does promise us continued survival and ultimate redemption. Moshe guarantees it. Uvikashtem yisham et Hashem elokecha umatzasa ki tidershenu b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha b'tzar lecha umitz'ucha l'chol hadvarim ha'ele b'acharis hayamim v'shavta ad Hashem elokecha v'shamata b'kolo. And you shall seek out Hashem from the depths of your exile, and you shall find him when you are in narrow straits of tragedy. All of these divine words will find you at the end of days. You shall return to Hashem and listen to his voice. The reason for this, explains Moshe a few pasukim later in V'etchanan, is very clear. Ki el rachom Hashem elokecha lo yarpecha v'lo yishchisecha v'lo yishkach es brit avosecha asher nishpa lahem. Is because Hashem is a compassionate God who will never forsake or destroy you. He does not forget the eternal covenant he swore to your forefathers. Tisha B'Av is a sacred and joyous day despite the destruction of the temple, because we survived and continue to flourish in defiance of exile and persecution. It is a symbol not so much of our vulnerability as it is our eternity. And our tradition commands us to be comforted because it guarantees our eventual redemption, as we've begun to experience in our own day. Despite the pressures and tensions, there is no generation of Jews in the last 2,000 years which would gladly have changed places with us. Ours is a great privilege of having witnessed the beginning of the fruition of Moshe's prophecy. Just look at what we are here doing today. We had a laning right by the Kotel, inside the tunnels. We can look out and see Har Bayis. We can look in the streets of Yerushalayim and see children playing. That is the essence of why Tisha B'Av can become a Chag. Andrew, this has not been an easy time for you either. Aside from the pressures of preparing your bar mitzvah and the normal activities as a young man, you had the added burden of overcoming some physical challenges as well. Your bar mitzvah actually reminds me of when I was becoming bar mitzvah. I was also the second son, following fairly closely on the heels of my big brother Michael. And I also gave my parents a bit of a run for their money with my learning the Sedra. I also remembered that once I became a bar mitzvah, we would have our own family mizumon. These feelings are present in our family today, and it brings back good memories. In thinking of your qualities as a young man and becoming a bar mitzvah, I see a person that has a tremendous amount of respect for others. Ever since you're a little boy, you insist on holding doors open for others. In fact, one of our first meetings with your teachers, and there have been many, the teacher your nursery mora told us that she was so impressed that every single day you insisted on holding the door not only for your class, but for all the classes that they either enter or exit the building. These feelings... one second here. I lost This quality does not just relate to holding the door open. Your very nature is pleasant and kind. There was never a time you had altercations or fights with other kids in school, with classmates, or in camp. You just get along with everyone. Andrew, you also have a very strong spiritual streak in you. When I asked you what type of celebration we should have for your bar mitzvah, you responded in a split second that we should come to Israel. Even when I pressed you further about it later on, of possibilities of doing something locally, you stuck to your guns and insisted that Israel would be the best place to celebrate your bar mitzvah. It is this enduring desire and faith that have allowed us, the Jewish people, to survive over these millennia and turn, hopefully one day, Tisha B'Av into a holiday. Andrew, Mazel Tov. And as I mentioned before, Andrew's bar mitzvah does remind me... Andrew's bar mitzvah does remind me of my bar mitzvah when I was growing up. But while these memories are great, I'm not going to do this. At the same time, the memories are bittersweet because my father, Lenny Boker Olav Hashem, is not here today to see his grandchild become a bar mitzvah at the kotel. His greatest joy in the last few years was his grandchildren. He would have absolutely loved to be here to celebrate Andrew's bar mitzvah, but I am sure he is watching from above. We are extremely thrilled to have my mother here celebrating with us. My mother has infinite patience for her grandchildren. It is not unusual that I pass the phone to Sasha to speak to my mother after I speak to her, and then about a half hour or 45 minutes or so later, I walk back into the room, and Sasha's still on the phone. I ask her, who are you on the phone with, Sasha? Grandma. Still. Andrew, you are very lucky to have a grandma as dedicated to her grandchildren and children as much as Grandma Linda is. Thank you, Mom, for all you do for us and for always being there for us. I would also like to acknowledge and thank my other mom and dad, my in-laws, Debbie and David Siegel. As anyone who knows them knows they have personalities that are a bit at odds. My father-in-law has never met someone that he does not go over and introduce himself as David Siegel, Woodmere, New York. In fact, I had gone with my father-in-law to the kotel these past few mornings to daven, and he told me an interesting story that happened last Friday night when he was going to the kotel. As he was at the kotel davening, he noticed three rather large gentlemen with tattoos all over themselves, clearly not from the tribe. And he went over to them, of course, and introduced himself, David Siegel, Woodmere, New York, and sure enough, these guys were rednecks from, I think, North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere like that. And my father went on to introduce himself and to give the whole story about what's going on, and the whole Beis HaMikdash was here, and with the whole situation, and even went so far as, and then he left. And then a little while later, the largest of these three gentlemen came over to him, and he just wanted to say thank you to my father-in-law for saying he thought, the Jews would be so stuck up as to not even want to come over to these three guys the way they look to even say hello. And meanwhile, he came over and made himself known, and then he went on to also give them the full history of how their Mashiach probably walked these same streets, and even further told them stories till they're probably running away. But but that's his personality. Every cab ride we've been here also gets to know every single cab driver personally, and I'm sure some of them are here today and celebrating with us. My mother-in-law poses these same qualities, but her approach is different. She is the first to help out others and to be involved in chesed. However, she takes the quiet approach. She's also extremely involved with her grandchildren and has had a lot of opportunity to show this with Andrew, with a multitude of doctor's appointments over these past few years, half or more of which were in Manhattan. If we needed a hand in coverage, my mother-in-law was always there. And as a separate note, another hakar tatot to my in-laws for making it possible at the kotel today to daven where we davened. Thank you very much for all your support. And this really is the least of your benefit from that work. I guarantee you that. Andrew, you also are very lucky to have a great-grandmother, Bobby Pearl, also here today. As many of you know, we just celebrated Bobby Pearl's 90th birthday. At 90, she has all the energy and wit of a young person. Bobby truly lives up to the saying that you're only as old as you feel. She is the first person to be counted in for any long tiyol, and back home, she's the first one to volunteer for any trips that involve multiple hours of driving. Also, Andrew was born just 3 weeks after the passing of Bobby's husband, Rabbi Meir Shapiro. Andrew was born Tisha B'Av, and Rabbi Shapiro was nifter on Shavas B'Tammuz. He was the first of many of the great-grandchildren to be named after his Zaidi, and of course he's the first to be bar mitzvah. Bobby, may you live ad meir Esther and see many more of your mayors become bar mitzvah, along with many other simchot for your family. Andrew, you can learn a lot from your grandparents. You should treasure them and learn as much as you can from them. Thank you, Mom and Dad, and Bobby for all you do for us and being there for us. Andrew, you're also blessed to have wonderful siblings in Sean, Margot, and Sasha. When all of you get along in the house, it is pure magic. Although you do quarrel now and then, like all siblings will, when you will grow up, you will appreciate your siblings more and more, and you will develop a strong and special bond. This brings me to our truly heartfelt thanks to all of my brothers and sisters and cousins and close friends, and who we consider family, for being here today. I would name all the names, but it's really everyone in the room, and no one wants to hear me list all the names. You know, there's one thing if you have a once-in-a-lifetime event and people make the exception and they come all this way at enormous expense and the desert climate and the heat, except for those from Florida, this is actually a break for you. And all the kids are off schedule, and it's just a huge slap and enormous expense. And once in a lifetime, I can understand. But this is the second time we're doing this, and everyone came back again. So thank you, really, truly, from the bottom of our hearts. Almost done. Finally, a special thank you and a card to Atov, to my partner, wife, and best friend, Dani. She's the bedrock of our family, the rational one, and yet at the same time the visionary. She sees the trees and the forest. Words will never suffice here. Thank you, and I love you. Mazel tov, Andrew, and mazel tov, everyone. And one other quick speech before we have a quick video, and then that is the entire program. My father-in-law, David Siegel.
I am not one of the 90%. It's not that Jason asked me to speak, he's letting me speak. I say I'm speaking, but on condition it doesn't impact upon my main speech, which is going to be Friday night, Friday morning, Thursday afternoon, Friday. No, only one other. You know, I'm happy to be here and happy to be with all you people, and I look out here and it's unbelievable. And I thank you all for coming here. I just want to tell you a story. In 1950, probably before all of you were born, or almost all of you were born, 2 Israeli frigates docked in New York City on the west side. Now, a frigate is not a battleship. It's not a cruiser. It's probably half the size of a destroyer, which is the smallest ship in the United States Navy. A frigate is a tiny little thing, and 2 Israeli frigates sailed into New York Harbor and docked on the west side, flying the Israeli flag, and this was 2 years after the creation of the State of Israel. I need not tell you that on the dock and on the streets next to these ships were thousands and tens of thousands of Jews who came out to see the miracle of 2 ships, 2 small ships. To them, they were bigger than battleships flying the Israeli flag. Well, I was on that dock with my brothers and my parents. And if any one of you knew my mother, I am a very shy person compared to my mother. She kidnapped 2 of the Israeli sailors, and they stayed in our home for, I think, a week. And we were so proud to have these 2 Israeli sailors in our home during this short period of time after the creation of the State of Israel. And why do I bring this up? I bring it up because think of how proud we were then. It doesn't compare to what we have here. I don't know if you understand and you realize what it is that we have here. This is not 2 small Israeli frigates outside. This is the Kotel HaMa'aravi. This is Har HaBayis. We're in Yerushalayim. This is something that in 1950 you couldn't come near, and we have it. Not only that, we had a minister of the Israeli government sitting with us. Who would ever think for 2,000 years that we would have a minister of an Israeli government sitting with us? This is an amazing thing. We have people amongst us who we never had. I am honored to know and have as our rabbi, Rabbi Heschel Berlet, not only because he's a lovely fellow and a nice friend, but I consider him a world-class rabbi, because he is not only concerned with Woodmere and the people there, but he's concerned with the two frigates, the Kotel HaMaravi, with Israel. He's concerned with that. Who would have thought that in 1950 that we would have people like that? We have here Yair Shachar, who I became friendly with a number of years ago. I like him and I respect him, not only because he's a nice guy and I see him, but he lives in a place where they tell me that the people from Beth El are afraid to go. I mean, who would, in 1950 would think that there would be a Yair Shachar living there? To me, this is amazing. We have a Boaz Siegel. Look at him. A Jewish boy walking around with, I don't even know what it is that he carries on his back. For me, it's too heavy. But who would ever think of that in 1950, that you would have a Jewish army with Jewish soldiers? This is why we're here. This is what we have to understand and appreciate. And this is why Andrew Meir's bar mitzvah is here in Yerushalayim, because we have to understand what we are and what we have, and what in 1950 we only just began to have. Thank you all for being here with us in Yerushalayim, celebrating the bar mitzvah of my little Andrew. Thank you, and mazel tov to all of us.
We just need a few minutes to set up the projector, but come closer so you can, it's going to be on this wall over here.
It's Grandma and Grandpa and Sean and his baby brother, who we're going to name soon.
Put your bagel down.
How's your bagel? Okay.
More like hers.
Zoom in. Get a little zoom in.
More like hers. Shuli was more.
There we go. Oh, Zadie's getting your mouth in. Let me zoom in a little closer. Get a good shot. Oh, you gotta see this.
מלכוס כל הילומים וממשלתך בכל דוי ודוי 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 מלכוס Malchuscho, Malchuscho, Malchus kol oilamim Umshaltecho bechol doi vadoi Malchuscho, Malchuscho, Malchus kol oilamim Umshaltecho bechol doi vadoi Malchuscho, Malchuscho, Malchus kol oilamim Umshaltecho bechol doi vadoi Malchuscho, Malchuscho, Malchus kol oilamim Umshaltecho bechol doi vadoi Malchuscho, Malchus kol oilamim Umshaltecho bechol doi vadoi
Give Bobby a kiss.
Good. Now it's your turn, Mayor, to give Bobby a kiss.
Maybe you're gonna give Bobby a kiss?
Come, I'm gonna help you. I'll pick you up.
A cookie kiss?
Whoa. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Good kiss. Good kiss.
Every word of love I used to say. Now I think it every day. Maya, 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 Maya. Salut, it's me, your babe, and I made something that's real to show you how I feel. Hello, hello, it's me. I will paint my words of love with your name of every word. When you leave, my colors fade to gray. No, my, yeah. No, my, yeah. Every word of love I used to say. Now I paint it every day. When you leave, my colors fade to gray. Hey, my lover, stay. All my colors fade away. Every word of love I used to say. Now I paint it every day. Maya, 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 I sell my strings, my songs and dreams, and I buy some things to match the colors of my love. Hello, hello, it's me, Alina. I will paint my words of love with your name of every word. When you leave, my colors fade to gray. No, my, yeah. No, my, yeah. Every word of love I used to say. Now I paint it every day. When you leave, my colors fade to gray. Hey, my lover, stay.
Do your film, I'll make a DVD. Hey guys! We'll look at this video in a few years and remember how small everybody was. Even Andrew.
Yalla yalla ya lili Yalla yalla ya lili Eloile Yalla yalla ya lili Yalla yalla ya lili Oh yalla yalla ya lili Yalla yalla ya lili Eloile Yalla yalla ya lili Tanz 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 habibi Ashkenazi, Baba Sali, Yosef Aradi, Rabbi Nachman, Ashkenazi, Shete Hele Mazal, Yosef Aradi, Mitzvah Badir, Ashkenazi. Yalla yalla ya lili, yalla yalla ya lili, Eloile, yalla yalla ya lili, yalla yalla ya lili, oh yalla yalla ya lili, yalla yalla ya lili, Eloile, yalla Ashkena, oh Sephardi, oi di Shoma, Ashkenazi, Yossi Avi, oh Sephardi, Yoi Mashmini, Ashkenazi, Moadim Nesimcha, oh Sephardi, Agid Yotiv, Ashkenazi, Shete Hele Mazal, oh Sephardi, Mit Shabbatit, Ashkenazi. Yalla, yalla, yalili, yalla, yalla, yalili, loile, yalla, yalla, yalili, yalla, yalla, yalili, oh, yalla, yalla, yalili, yalla, yalla, yalili, loile, yalla, yalla, yalili, tanz, 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 habibi, yalla, yalla, yalili, yalla, yalla, yalili, loile, yalla, yalla, yalili, yalla, yalla, yalili, oh, yalla, yalla, yalili, yalla, yalla, yalili, loile, yalla, yalla, yalili, tanz, 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 habibi.
Say hi.
We made it! Yeah, yay!
It's a tough elevator.
All right, you ready? Birthdays are today. Andrews! Yay! All right.
Hi, my name's Andrew, and I approve this message.
I got the magic in me. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Everybody knows I got the magic in me. When I hit the floor, the girls come snapping at me. Now everybody wants a blast of magic, 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 oh. I got the magic in me.
Next trick that I let tempo blow your mind. Pick a verse, any verse, I hypnotize you with every line. I'll need a volunteer, how about you with the eyes? Come on down to the front, stay right here and don't be shy. I have you time traveling, have your mind babbling. People trying to inherit the skills, so they asking it. Even David Blaine had to go and take some classes in. I see mind freak like, what's up, man, what's happening? So come on, come on, and see the show tonight. Prepare to be astounded, no ghost or poltergeist. You know I'm no Pinocchio, I never told a lie. So call me Mr. Magic Man, I float on cloud nine.
I got the magic in me.
I got the magic,
Every
baby.
time I touch that track, it turns into gold.
Yes, it turns to gold.
Everybody knows I got the magic in me.
I got the magic,
When I
baby.
hit the floor, the girls come snapping at me.
They be snapping, baby.
Everybody wants a blast of magic, 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 oh. I got the magic in me.
Take a journey into my mind. You'll see why it's been in my rhyme. Stay on the road, so I call my mama when I got time. I hit the stage, go insane, then jump into that crowd. See when I rhyme, I flow on a beat like put it out. See, I deceive you with my intergalactic ether. I sing just like Aretha, so respect me like I'm Caesar. I kick it like Adidas, blowing sticky like adhesive. Be cautious, cause what I be on to leave you with amnesia. I break all the rules like Evo Knievel. It's a spectacular show, cause my heart pumps diesel. So whatever you saying, it don't entertain my ego. I do this every day. Hocus pocus is my
Got
stilo.
the magic in me.
I got the magic, baby.
Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold.
Yes, it turns to gold.
Everybody knows I got the magic. Hit the floor, the girls come snapping at me.
They be snapping, baby.
Everybody wants a blast of magic, 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 oh. I got the magic in me.
Oh! Let's get a close up.
First try.
I got that. Hey, I got the magic in me. Hey, I got that. Hey, I got the magic in me. I got the magic in me.
Did it go in?
אנחנו מאמינים ומאמינים כל חולי, הוא הנותן שמחה לילדים, הוא העושה משפטים, הוא השמיים והוא הרופא, הוא הגדול הנורא.
רבותיי נברך,
יהי שם אדוני
יהי שם אדוני מבורך מיטב עד עולם. ברשות הכהנים, קומצו כאן דברך אלוהינו שחרנו משלו. ברוך אלוהינו שחרנו משלו, ותבוא חיינו. ברוך אתה אדוני.
במכחולת העולם אתה צובע, וכל פנימי לך קורה, אתה יודע, הכל תלוי בך, מצב הרוח מסביבך, המציאות היא כמו המציאות בדמיונך. תחשוב טוב, תהיה טוב, תאמין בעצמך. תחשוב טוב, תהיה טוב, אלוקים אוהב אותך. תחשוב טוב, תהיה טוב, תאמין בעצמך. תחשוב טוב, תהיה טוב, אלוקים אוהב אותך. היום אתה רואה במשקפיים רק אפור.
אמן, ואחנה נענai בעירי לאמור, ענה אלוהים, אתה הכילות להראות את עבדך.
שלך אומר בפנים, תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב תמיד. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, תאמין בעצמך. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, אלוקים אוהב אותך. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, תאמין בעצמך. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, אלוקים אוהב אותך. מלאך שאומר לך גדל, ויש מלאך אחר שאומר לך חדל. תקשיב רק לאמת שזועקת מהלב, תדע שאלוקים, תדע שאלוקים אותך אוהב. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, תאמין יהיה טוב, אלוקים אוהב אותך. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, תאמין בעצמך. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, אלוקים אוהב אותך. תחשוב טוב, יהיה טוב, תאמין בעצמך. תחשוב טוב